This is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee, and this is episode 147 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So I had a great weekend. The birthday went very well. I went to a winery with friends. First time ever going to a winery. If you like wine, I suggest you go to one. They definitely teach you a lot of things about wine. And the reason why, a lot of the rich folks sit there and swirl the wine and sniff it, like the reasons behind it. But I definitely had a lot of fun. Went to Dave & Buster's on Friday with the Hubs. Had a lot of fun there as well. Had some Buffalo Wild Wings. And the birthday celebration continues because just like Wrestlemania, it ain't over in April. But no, I'm going to a Phillies game at some point as well. I am a Phillies fan. That's one of the Phillies teams that I really root for. I know we got the Sixers, but I haven't really kept up with basketball since Allen Iverson played. Like, I know people who play on the Sixers, but I haven't been watching faithfully. But you damn sure know I am jumping on the bandwagon for the 76ers, especially since they are in the playoffs. But I definitely, keep up with football and baseball for the most point. Kind of hard to keep up with baseball because of all the games and stuff like that. It's 100 games or so? But I am going to try to keep up with it this year. Don't watch hockey, so don't even ask. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't watch soccer either, so, don't keep up with that either. But nevertheless, I'm very happy that the birthday went very well. Chapter 28 is here, level 28, as I like to say. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good weekend and a good week. This past week, a lot has happened in wrestling. Also, no spoilers, but Moon Knight is very good. I'm enjoying the fact that it's very psychological, and it really is touching things that Marvel really hasn't addressed yet, covering different things. I used to love everything Egyptian culture, like ancient Egypt as well. But there's a reason why I don't repeat any chants or anything that I be reading in the books and stuff, because I don't, no thank you. I'm smart, I'm not stupid. I know that, I watch The Mummy and everything like that has to do with Egyptian mythology, with all the different gods and why you don't say things you don't know of. Also, condolences to Dwayne Haskins' family. The young quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers had passed away this past weekend after getting hit by a car on a highway. I really didn't read too much more into his death, but geez, it's very sad. I was looking forward to, watching him play this season, especially with Big Ben retiring, but damn, it's very fucking sad of someone so young to be taken so soon. But condolences go to his family and friends and to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. So getting into some news and rumors, Alexa Bliss is married. Congratulations to her. So she is going off to, I think she's going to Disneyland in California. And then they're going to Hawaii for a while, so we won't be expecting to really see her on TV. Allegedly, that's the reason why she wasn't on TV, but her herself kind of also mentioned how there's no plans for her right now. It seemed like that they were going towards her going back to the goddess version of Alexa Bliss, but then they kept it with the Harley Quinn version. So maybe with her being gone for a honeymoon, maybe she comes back as the goddess Alexa Bliss. Also, this episode of the podcast is not brought to you by the Twitter bots. With the study from Tony Khan, who has been trending for the past couple of days, for this tweet that he put out. He said, an independent study has confirmed that much of the starch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals, but it's a staff running thousands of accounts plus an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely, these aren't real people who pay for such a wildly expensive things. Research this one yourselves. You internet detectives thrive in these situations. He also mentioned, ever wonder why so much of the activity of these accounts is retweets and replies? Like, who actually has 80% of their activity as straight up retweets? And then, of course, he went on to promote, speaking of wild things, you wouldn't want to miss Jon Moxley versus John Wheeler on AEW at 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT drama tonight, because, he ends every crazy ass tweet with promoting Dynamite on Rampage. So look, all right. I defended this guy, when people came at him with the thumbs up and his reaction to, Samoa Joe. I defended when he got on the mic and sounded very crazy, talking about Ring of Honor, stuff like that. I defended, it was like, he's a nerd, he's a fan first, he's very passionate, this, that, and the third. And, I'm a realist. Like, I can give people the benefit of the doubt. You say something stupid the first time. Maybe you weren't thinking. When he said what he said about Big Swole, I was like, he lashed out. He lashed out as a fan of the company, not as a businessman. And I mentioned how, that is a bad thing, that he reacted emotionally first instead of, taking a step back as the owner and, the head of a wrestling organization and kind of taking it professionally. But this here, I can't defend it. Like, even if this study is actually true, that a big portion of the anti-AEW online community is bots paid by WWE or someone who can pay for such wildly expensive things. What is he going to do? Is he going to contact Twitter to tell them to deactivate all these bots Twitter account, which they're not, because all they're going to do is create new accounts. As far as activity of mainly retweets and replies, there's people out there who legit don't post any tweets. Like, they go on there and retweet and reply. There's people who have TikTok accounts, like they created a TikTok account just to watch the videos and comment on them. There's people who create Instagrams just to hit likes on all the bootylicious photos and not even, and comment on them and don't post anything themselves. So there are actual accounts out there where they don't want to post any thoughts on themselves. Like, they love to troll people, or they just want to be stalkers, let people, some people just want to live that life. But as far as him conducting, and apparently the rumor is that he actually did an independent study. My point is, what was the point? You just wasted a bunch of time. Like, yeah, all right, it's bots, but what is that? How does that help the wrestlers in your company? How does that help your company and your two companies, basically? You tweeted this to us instead of presenting it to the networks, who has to decide whether your company stays afloat or not. Like, truthfully, if AEW or Ring of Honor was to lose a TV deal, that's pretty much it for them. Okay. So I can't really defend this guy on this point, because when I read that, I'm like, what is the point of pointing this out? That these are bots. And it's like, for Tony Khan to mention how much of a wrestling historian he is, he really forgets, like, the past of WWE. When WCW was around, there was a big anti-WWE group. There was a big anti-WCW group. Social media didn't exist at the time, so all it was people, pretty much this was all done through signs from the fans in the stands. This was done of people writing into the wrestling magazines. This was done with people saying whatever they wanted to say in the crowd and stuff like that. Or when they call in to one of the 1-800 numbers, stuff like that. Or with your friends and family as well. There was no online social media. If there was social media back then, it probably would be fucking crazy back then, especially with times back then where there was no politically correct anything. Yeah, that that anti-WWE and anti-WCW crowd would have been fucking malicious. But on top of that, even if we go pre-WCW, when there was the territories, there was anti-AEW. First of all, once WWE took over WCW and ECW and we went into the PG era, there was the biggest anti-WWE community ever seen. There was an anti-John Cena, there was a pro CM Punk, there was an anti-Vince McMahon, there was an anti-Roman Reigns crowd for the longest of times. So as far as him, I hope he really doesn't expect for people to, for everyone to love his company, because if that's the case, then I really fear for AEW. If Tony Khan really feels as though there shouldn't be like an anti-AEW community, like people not liking your product, sometimes there's truth to their issues with your company, and sometimes you either ignore that criticism or look into it and say, hey, let me see how I can use this to our advantage. So there has been an anti-group forever. If you want to talk about bots, bots have famously been talked about around the elections in the US and everything, as far as wars, as far as, propaganda and stuff like that. And there's nothing that you can do. When I was doing my live stream, I don't know if anyone caught it, a bot entered into my damn live stream and started tweeting out links and stuff. I get bots on my Instagram account who tells me to promote it through some other account. I get bots in my Twitter DMs. I get spam phone calls, okay? So as far as bots, there's nothing that can be done about it, okay? All you can do is either, either ignore it or just not even ignore it, basically. There's nothing that Tony Khan can do. I really don't see a reason to really point it out unless he is trying to use this to benefit his TV network deal. But anyway, it's a crazy situation. So of course then Becky Lynch used the same information and pretty much tweeted the same tweet. Instead, she had her suspects. She had tweeted out pictures of Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair and Trish Stratus, and I believe the Bellas as well. And then Evil Uno jumped in on it as well. And he brought out how, if you're anti-LGBTQ, then get off his feed and stuff like that. But yeah, come on, Tony. Really, I think Tony Khan's energy and concentration should be on the two companies, especially the fact that he just got a new company, one that is dearly loved by the internet community, and he needs to really take care of that. He really needs to get it together, get your booking together, worry about your divisions and the pay-per-views and Dynamite and Rampage and the YouTube shows and stuff like that. That's where all that energy, the independent study should have been on, fans of AEW and fans who are, are so with AEW, to get their opinion on what will make the show better, what they like, what they don't like. If you want to do independent studies, that's what you should do an independent study on. What is it that the fans really enjoy? What is it that the fans don't really enjoy? Are there wrestlers that they really want to push? Especially if Tony Khan's decision on keeping a wrestler, on contract or not is, apparently based on fan perception and how, and wrestling abilities. Do an independent study on how fans feel about different wrestlers. If there's a wrestler out there that fans really want to see more, put that in front of them, dream matches that fans want to see, storylines that might interest them or topics that might interest them, stuff like that. That's what you should, do this independent study on. Not on, so if there are bots out there, which there are, the internet, hello, AI, robots, bots. Everybody knows that there are bots. So yeah, that's what he needs to put his concentration on. Also, Nash Carter has been released from WWE. He was the one half of MSK. Well, at least they were the NXT Tag Team Champions until Nash Carter was released, and now the titles are vacant. And will be up for grabs, but it wasn't really any details as for what is going to happen then. He was released after online accusations of his wife, Kimberly, who stated that there was domestic abuse and that, there was domestic abuse and stuff like that by Nash Carter when he got drunk. Apparently, there was divorce papers served, and then she had posted an old photo of Carter impersonating Hitler, and then he was released off of that, which slightly surprised me that WWE was very quick to release someone off of accusations instead of conducting their own investigation, or or just like really looking into it. That they basically just took the accusations. Like, I think it may have been the photo that did it, not the accusations, but it may have been the photo. But I'm very shocked that they are very quick to respond, especially, with the whole Me Too movement and everything like that, and especially with other allegations that has happened to other wrestlers throughout the years. WWE really didn't have the reputation to really quickly react and let people go immediately due to accusations. Normally it happens when they do the rounds of releases and then they release someone. I feel very bad for Wes. Wes was pretty much a tag team partner of Nash Carter when they were in Impact as well. And that's how he came over to NXT. I'm hoping, like, him losing Nash Carter, they won't, like, can him or, pretty much put him in creative limbo where they really don't have anything to do with him. As far as my opinion on what happened with Nash Carter, I'm one of those people. I feel as though, whenever this is accusations, I believe in innocent until proven guilty. Unless, I feel as though if, I don't know. I always feel weird when people put things out on social media. There's also someone, I forgot her name. She is defending Nash Carter. I think she's a wife of Nash Carter's friend or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Or Nash Carter lived with her and I think her husband or boyfriend or something like that. She is completely, saying it's not true, this, that, and the third. And that's what's crazy about it. I'm not sitting here saying I don't believe her at all. But, when it comes to accusing someone, I feel as though unless there's drastic evidence, multiple women coming forward or that type of situation. I mean, she posted photos of her face and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't know the truth, so I can't really make a quick judgment on something where I don't know the truth. I don't think he said anything about the incident. I think it's been mainly this friend that's been speaking out on his behalf. But I've seen domestic abuse both ways. I've seen actual domestic abuse, and I've seen, someone claiming domestic abuse and it wasn't that. They just mainly was saying that to get back at the person. So and we saw it both ways in entertainment. So I'm not sitting here saying she's a complete liar or stuff like that. And, Nash Carter is innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty either. I'm saying I don't know the situation. Only the people who know the truth knows the truth. And I'm just hoping that if it isn't true, very much ashamed because he lost his job to this. If it is true, then he's an asshole for that. I believe you don't put your hands on anyone, whether it's man on woman, woman on man, man on man, woman on woman. I believe you don't really put your hands on anyone, unless, self-defense or something like that, or, it's, something very warranted, not, but I don't really, no, I don't really go for that. But like I said, I feel bad for Wes. And, I really wonder what's going to happen to him. I really hope he gets a I hope, something similar to what what happened with Dante Martin, where Dante Martin got a very big singles push when his brother was injured. I hope that, he gets a push while, since Nash Carter is let go. Maybe, definitely use him as one of the high flyers or something like that. But I really hope nothing, negative comes from this. So, getting into some recaps, I'm going to start with AEW. First of all, AEW Dynamite, between AEW Dynamite and AEW Rampage, definitely a great week as far as wrestling with AEW. Wheeler Yuta is awesome. And I'm not saying that just because he's from Philly. I can't wait. I'm thinking about going to AEW in Philly. Tickets are a lot more expensive than it was the last time they were here, which I get it, but it just fucking sucks. But I'm sure once he gets to Philly, they're going to do something really big for him. But I really love the fact that he's getting such this natural push. He's like really getting over with the fans and stuff like that. Even though he lost, he's still like really getting over with the fans. He went against Jon Moxley this week in a very crazy match. Of course, he was busted open and stuff like that. And he ended up getting the handshake from William Regal. So we don't know what this actually gonna. Well, he drew BCC in with his blood. So seems like he is joining them. Who knows? But I'm all here for it. I love it. I love when, someone gets their time to shine. Even though he lost, like I said, he still looks good at the end of the day, getting all the chants from the crowd and stuff. So, I can't wait to see what comes from him. And he's a Ring of Honor champion as well. I think it's the Pure Championship. So, definitely happy for Wheeler Yuta. Tag team wrestling is back, ladies and gentlemen. How about that crazy ass match between FTR and the Young Bucks? I didn't realize that FTR versus the Young Bucks, the first match, happened so long ago. But still, it still feels like this feud. It still feels like fresh. Still, even though they kind of like bumped heads in AEW over the past couple of months and years, stuff like that. But great match. I love tag teams. I don't know, just the fact that two people, working together, and it's all about the chemistry and stuff like that. And so, like, whenever you have, family and really good friends either feuding it against each other or teaming up against one another, magic happens, of course. Also, Samoa Joe versus Max Castor. Max Castor is also over with his raps. Very good raps, busting it up on Samoa Joe. He mentioned a line when we were beating him in the ratings. He was their champ, which slightly off. He wasn't the champion when they were beating AEW in the ratings. I believe he became champion after they moved to Wednesdays. But you know what? That is completely fine. But yeah, I really like Max Castor. I look forward to his entrances, of course, to hear what he says on the mic, of busting the other person's chops, of course. But it was a pretty good match. Samoa Joe is over and everything, and he is going against Suzuki on Dynamite. Some people have a problem with it, because it's like, oh, Samoa Joe just came and you're gonna have him lose. But if if Suzuki lose, he just got the title and stuff like that. My thing is, like, I have slight more faith with AEW as far as like who wins, who loses, because whoever loses, if it's a really, really good match, the fans are still forgivable to whoever it is that loses in the match, especially if it's a really good match. Like, they don't really lose momentum like you would get in WWE. Whenever someone loses in WWE, especially if they lost twice, like, it really slows down their momentum. But it doesn't really carry over with AEW, unless like the wrestler completely disappears, like we saw with Brock Anderson and Brian Cage, where bit of a win streak and then kind of like disappear. Or, I mean, not a winning streak, a losing streak, and then kind of disappears. So, I don't really feel that with either Samoa Joe or Suzuki. So no. The Hardy Boys had a crazy tag team match as well. Of course, Jeff Hardy with the crazy ass spot. And then on Rampage, they had, I think they went against Butcher and the Blade, I think. Yeah. And of course, it was a tables match. And I kind of liked they put a unique twist to it, whereas though you actually have to put your opponent through the table offensively. So if someone runs to the table and the person moves and they go through the table, it doesn't count. Which at first was a little confusing to me, because every time someone goes through the table, like, trying to put the person through the other table, like I immediately like, oh no, they just lost. But no. So I really appreciate that, because it kind of explains it itself. Like if you went to run, spear someone, they move, and then you go through the table, like that doesn't count, because the person didn't even put any effort really to actually put you through the table. And I know I'm missing more segments, but that was pretty much the highlights for me as far as AEW and Rampage. Jade Cargill is going against Marina Shafir to try to get her 30th victory. They also had more of the women's Owen Hart qualifier match. We had I think it was Red Velvet and Willow going against each other as well. And then we had more of the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Qualifier match. We had Hikaru Shida versus Julia Hart. And then we had Serena Deeb, who tried to ambush Shida with a steel chair. But then Shida had turned around and caught it. A little bit of Julia Hart kind of turning a little bit on the Varsity Blondes. She actually kicked the Varsity Blondes to the back. So, hopefully slowly we are getting this together as far as her joining the House of Black, or whatever it is that we're trying to do here as well. I am planning to shoot my shot and try to get into the baddie section with Jade Cargill. I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Because I think I'm a baddie. I mean, I'm a bit of a nerd. When you think baddie, you don't really think, someone who likes to wear pajamas and play video games all day. But I think I could switch it up and be a baddie. But I'm going to shoot my shot, if you got to aim, if you shoot for the moon, you may land in the stars. So I'm going to shoot my shot and see what happens there. But I doubt that I'm going to get chosen, because it seems like only 5 women are chosen, and I'm sure there are more than 5 people who tries to be a baddie, get into the baddie section. I really want the good seats and to meet her backstage. That's all I want. I want to just check that off the bucket list. But yeah. But getting into WWE, I already covered the Raw after Mania, or not even Raw. I can't even call that Raw after Mania. That was just Raw. In the last episode. So I will be getting into mainly SmackDown as well. I didn't watch NXT at all. I heard that they pretty much did rematches and kind of like put belts back on the original people. As far as the tag team. As far as the women's tag team, the belts went back. And then we also saw, of course, Brian Breaker got his belt back. So I kind of hate when they do that with the belts, where we get the pay-per-view and then you get the rematch after the pay-per-view and the belts are returned to the original champions. And it's like, what was the point of going through all that if if they were going to get their belts back anyway? Like, you kind of made us go through like this emotional roller coaster just to put the belts back on the original people. Tonight we have The Miz was going against Cody Rhodes, and a lot of people are giving The Miz a bit of hate, which I'm a bit surprised about. I mean, The Miz is pretty good as far as like, getting someone over as a babyface. So I'm not quite sure why people are upset that The Miz is going against that Cody's first wrestling match on Raw is against The Miz. If you want someone to be one of the biggest baby faces and still be a baby face with the crowd, The Miz is definitely the way to go. Because The Miz is very good at being a douchebag, and he's very good at convincing the crowd to boo against him and cheer for whoever he's going against. I'm sure if him and Logan Paul were to have a feud, I feel like The Miz can get fans to cheer for Logan Paul. Like, give The Miz enough time and, like, creative freedom. I feel like he will be able to get the crowd to cheer for Logan Paul. And I really do feel that way. But I feel as though, like, yeah, it makes sense for Cody to go against someone like The Miz. Kind of like, you want to throw Cody Rhodes against the best heels, first off. Like, people were thinking he was going to go immediately for the title, which I think will make zero fucking sense. I mean, people bitched and moaned about Goldberg and Brock Lesnar coming back just to get the title, but you're completely fine with Cody Rhodes coming in from the rival company and immediately going after the title. No, there are casuals out there who have no fucking idea who Cody Rhodes is. You have to really build up the story. I mean, he laid a very great foundation as to why he is in WWE and his goal, which is to get the title that his dad never held. But let's get him a bit of a winning streak. Let's give him like a storyline to work his way to Roman Reigns. Or else when he gets to Roman Reigns, a lot of the casual fans are going to be like, why do I care for Cody Rhodes? I know Roman Reigns. I know he wants me to acknowledge him. I'm going to acknowledge him. But I don't know who the hell this blonde hair guy with the really ugly neck tattoo. Like, why do I need to cheer for him? So I think WWE really needs to work on building him up. If that's a feud with The Miz, then that's a feud with The Miz. He really needs to get cheered enough to overcome the popularity that is Roman Reigns. So I feel as though that makes complete sense, and you really shouldn't hate the fact that he's going against The Miz. It feels like he's going to be continuing a feud with Seth Rollins as well, but I don't know 100%. So going into SmackDown felt more like a after Raw event than actual Raw, but because we had call-ups here, we had returns, we had name changes, we had, what the hell type of moments, we had turns and everything like that. First of all, Gunther, aka Walter, is here, and he is in sexy red, ladies and gentlemen. The Ring General has arrived to SmackDown. How much longer before... oh my gosh, I forgot. It escaped my mind who he can go against. Him versus Drew, one big guy versus another big guy. But he is here. They had Marcel was with him, but they changed his name to Ludwig something. I didn't even catch the last name, but yeah, they are on SmackDown. So I'm very curious to what they're going to do with the Imperium team member that is still in NXT, if they're going to call him up or not, or if he's just going to be in limbo, or is he going to team up with Wes and they become a new tag team? Who knows? It's the WWE. Anything can happen in WWE, and the craziest things happen as well. Also, the tribal chief Roman Reigns had mentioned that he wants the Usos to unify the tag team championship, which, I feel the exact same way as I do with unifying the WWE title and the Universal title. Like, combining the titles like that, you create a bottleneck of people at the top because you only have one title, and whoever is champion has to bounce between both brands, and it's going to feel like, it's going to get boring because it's going to be the same people going after the title over and over and over again. Like I said, at least when the titles were split, there were more opportunities for, someone else to win the title. I mean, the Usos had those tag team titles for the longest of time. And, meanwhile, on Raw, we had the Street Profits, we had RK Bro, like, we had different tag teams as champion. Just like when Roman Reigns was the Universal Champion for, like, the past 10 years, with the WWE Championship, there were opportunities given to Bobby Lashley, to Big E especially. People who normally wouldn't have a chance to get the title if it was like Roman Reigns the whole time. So I was kind of happy that the titles were split, but seeing as though their roster they have as many rosters as kids in a kindergarten class right now. So they really can't have two titles. They'll spread themselves too thin. But it also puts a lot of work on whoever is the champion. Because it's not like, hey, we just only see them on Raw and SmackDown. No, they're on Raw, they're on SmackDown, and they also do the house shows. And I'm not quite sure as far as like, I know with the house shows, it used to be like there's a group A and a group B. Like group A is Raw, group B is SmackDown, and they travel to do the house shows on the weekends. I don't know if it's still split like that or if they decided to put everyone in the same, house show or whatever. But the champion has to do like double the work because they have to show up at the house shows and stuff like that. They have to do the, the pay-per-view, not the pay-per-view, the media events and media interviews and stuff like that. And, pretty much be a face for the company. When you had two champions, whoever's the more popular champion is the one who would do all that, and then, whoever is the other champion, if they, weren't really ready, you can give them a bit of time because, concentration is put on, so-and-so. But with them, like I said, with them unifying the titles, I feel it's like there's not going to be a lot of opportunities given to people who normally wouldn't get the opportunity if the company's champion, the company's champion isn't champion. I was about to say corporate, but that's not the correct term now. We also had Lacey Evans, who is now returning. She had they showed a vignette of her talking about her life history. First of all, I'm very happy now that they mention her military background. Like I always say, whenever I get upset at WWE when they release people or, bring up people and change the names, stuff like that, and I'll get to it again when I talk about some of the other name changes. WWE, for them to be like this profitable and, all, trying to get profits as far as a company, like they really do not use their wrestlers to their full advantage. Like they do not milk as much money as they can out of their wrestlers. And I feel as though Lacey Evans is a cash cow. Like I'm not talking about her wrestling ability or anything like that, but she could have been a female version of a female face version of John Cena. You could have easily talked about her military background. You could have used her for the USO tours. You could have definitely had connected her to the military families and veterans and stuff like that, and say like, hey, as much as they love to use John Cena as like as if he actually was in the military. Like John Cena talked about the military so much and did the salutes and everything. I legit thought he was actually in the military. Like I had to look it up and everything and found out he wasn't in the military. But you have someone she was in the fucking Marines. Like that is such a toss up as far as much money you can make off of her. Like if you wanted to keep her heel, you could have made her a female version of Sergeant Slaughter. Like, it's such a tossed up with Lacey Evans. And then when you guys decide to turn her face, she still has the military background. Like, you could easily create so many t-shirts and, using her, whatever slogan she uses, stuff like that. And, and use that military background. But now she mentioned it now. And then she went on to talk about her upbringing, which is also confusing. Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes WWE really isn't booking for us. Like they are straight up booking for someone who will not remember things a few weeks ago. Because I'm like, dude, the last time we saw Lacey Evans, she was in an affair with Ric Flair, and she was pregnant, and it was like it seemed like they were suggesting that Ric Flair was possibly the father of her baby. And it was like, sugar daddy type of situation because she was trying to get in the head of Charlotte Flair. But now we're supposed to, and then she was the rich southern lady with the accent and stuff like that, and dressing like, it's the 1800s and stuff like that, or the 1920s, 1950s. I completely forgot what era it was, but you know what I mean. not 2022 basically is what I mean. But, you really expect us to suddenly have this, she still has a bit of a Southern accent, but it's not as drawn out as it was with Southern Belle. That now she had grew up poor, and, she mentioned about how her father was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and there was physical, mental, emotional abuse, and how her mom had to pick up all their belongings in the middle of the night and move around all over the place, and how they struggled, how her mom struggled and everything like that. And she kind of tied it into, her outlook at life as well. Um, I understand, like, you want to make her, like, you really want fans to, like, feel bad for her and stuff like that, and then kind of make her a baby face that way. But I don't know, it was very weird, odd. I don't know if it was the actual crowd reacting to something or if they piped in the sounds, but the fans were, like, cheering when she was talking about her sad story. So, I don't know, but I'm very happy that, she mentioned her military background. Like I said, I don't know what took them so long to work on this, but I'm happy that it's finally happened. Madcap Moss is over. This is what happens when you go against Baron Corbin. You suddenly become a fan favorite. Um, Happy Corbin has turned on Madcap Moss. Madcap Moss mentioned, like, why would I have a friend like you? This, that, and the third. And then he went on to, I think he wrestled a match or something like that, but the crowd started to cheer for fucking Madcap Moss. I didn't have this on my 2022 bingo card, but if you had told me if you told me on January 1st of 2022 that the crowd who, talks about Madcap Moss and stuff like that, and and everything like that, that he would have been a fan favorite and would have been cheered for, in 2022, I would have called you crazy. I definitely would have called you crazy. So speaking of, and I was talking about the tribal chief back then, he is now the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. And now, who is he? The biggest question with everyone is, who is he going to go against next? Who is going to eventually dethrone Roman Reigns? And, names are thrown out there. Of course, Cody, Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, maybe AJ Styles, but the sad thing about it, and I was looking at the roster, like, as far as SmackDown, WWE really did not, really did not work on, building up a credible challenger or challengers for Roman Reigns. Like, you really have to look at an end game here. You have to look past WrestleMania, and you have to really build for your future. So as far as, like, the roster for SmackDown right now, we have Ricochet, which, he's not going to go after the title. Drew McIntyre, which, could be yes. Sami Zayn, no. Shinsuke Nakamura, no. Rick Boogs, no, he's injured. Xavier Woods, I highly doubt it. Big E already, got a taste of the title. But I still can't believe him to win the title here. Kofi Kingston, no. Butch, no. Not really Sheamus, not Rich Holland, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss, Drew Gulak's not even on TV. Angel and Humberto are involved in the feud with Ricochet. Eric and Ivar, the Viking Raiders, no. And then we just had Gunther come up, Jinder Mahal, no. And then even looking on the Raw men's side, AJ Styles is involved in a feud with Edge now. Street Profits tag team, Austin Theory, fuck no, I'm sorry, but if you're an Austin Theory fan, but no, I don't see Austin Theory taking the title off of Roman Reigns. I think he was, he's involved in a feud with Finn Balor right now. Apollo Crews, no. Bobby Lashley is definitely a possibility. Chad Gable's involved in the tag team. Damian Priest just joined Edge. Dolph Ziggler is playing with the kids on NXT. Dominic really needs to be able to get a win here. He has yet to really win on his own. Edge is involved with AJ Styles. Finn Balor, I believe, is Finn Balor is involved with a possible feud as well. Kevin Owens, I don't really see that right now. He has went against Roman Reigns as well, and that didn't work out either. Omos, no, I don't see that happening. Otis is teamed up with Chad Gable. R-Truth's title aspirations is the green one, 24/7 title. Randy Orton is, he's champion right now. Reggie, no. Rey Mysterio is trying to teach his son a couple of new tricks and to get a win, so no. Robert Roode is down there with the NXT kids. Seth freaking Rollins, yes, but it seems like he's involved with a feud with Cody right now. Shelton Benjamin, haha, no thank you. The T-Bar, not no thank you to Shelton Benjamin, but he's not going to dethrone Roman Reigns. He can barely get wins here too. T-Bar, no. Dominic Dijakovic, it's possible if they build him up, but no. The Miz, no. And Veer. I don't know who Veer is right now. I need to see Veer again on Raw to determine if they're actually serious as far as booking him. But like I said, as of right now, they really don't have people that are like built up nicely that can, possibly dethrone Roman Reigns. A lot of the roster feels like mid-card because that's normally how they are booked. They are booked to, come off as mid-carders as well. But yeah, I don't really see, I don't know. I don't want them to have Roman hold the title until Mania and have him go against The Rock, because I feel as though that feud really does not need a title either. I think a feud between Roman Reigns and The Rock is good enough to not need a title. Like, that kind of writes itself. But I really don't see anyone as of right now who can go against who can dethrone Roman Reigns. They have Shinsuke Nakamura, who seems like he's challenging for the title, but I don't see him dethroning Roman Reigns. We also had Ronda Rousey, who is getting Charlotte Flair in an I Quit match at Backlash. If she wins here, it's like, she could have won at WrestleMania for all that, but, for some reason, they decided not to do that. We also had Raquel Gonzalez has been called up to the main roster. She is now called Raquel Rodriguez, which I get you guys want to change the names, but I feel as though it's a lot easier to say Raquel Gonzalez than Raquel Rodriguez. I don't know, that R and R sound, it doesn't really flow well on the tongue. Also, I noticed the first change in her, it feels like her voice she's like talking in a higher pitched voice, and then it seems like they're really trying to sexualize her. She was wearing pretty much a bikini top, and then Angel Garza and Humberto, they were talking about how pretty she is. They tried to go for the double kiss and stuff like that, and I don't know. And it seems like she's a face, which I feel as though she should have came up as a heel. SmackDown really doesn't have a lot of a lot of female heels. You have Charlotte, but Charlotte's always, up, fighting on the roster. You have Natalya, which you really can't get stories out of. You have Shayna Baszler, which, definitely, but they're using her and Natalya in the tag team. Shotzi is heel, but, they don't really use her like that anymore. And I think that is all of the heels as far as SmackDown on the women's division. Which, there you go. And Aaliyah is face. They could have easily put Raquel Gonzalez up as a heel, especially if you're going to change the name. Like, it doesn't really matter what they did in NXT if you're going to change the name. But I feel as though they could have definitely kept her as like a powerhouse or something like that. But yeah, instead her name is Raquel Gonzalez. I'm still feeling some type of way about Butch. Like I said, Butch is the name of a pit bull dog. What I'm most disappointed about is the way he is being booked. He is being booked like this Chihuahua type of, fighter and stuff. Where it's like, let me at him, let me at him, let me at him. And it's not working for me. It really isn't. Like, you got some damn sense. You're an adult last time I checked. I'm pretty sure you are, even though you are well above the drinking limit, that you are not somehow consuming, through the air or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not feeling Butch. Like I said, I don't like the fact that they change names of people who are brought up within their company, because you're erasing the legacy that that person has been with that name. I could see bringing someone into the company and you could change the name, We have Asuka now. We had, a lot of people who came through and had their name changed and stuff like that. So I don't really have a big problem with the name change. But I don't like when they give the stupid names and then they like completely wipe away the history of the person. Like if Raquel Gonzalez came into WWE at I think her first name was actually Rainer or something like that in the Indies, and they changed it to Raquel Rodriguez, I'll say okay, her name's Raquel Rodriguez. But every time I look at her, I see Raquel Gonzalez. So it is what it is. I won't hold my breath as to what actually is going to happen. I just hope for a good show for both companies. That's all I want. I just want to sit back and relax, and watch both shows and enjoy wrestling as a whole. And not everybody's going to enjoy it, and I understand that, including the bots from Tony Khan's independent study. Definitely, anti WWE, and anti AEW, and I'm sure they're going to tweet out some stuff very soon that Tony Khan has to debunk. But yeah, no bot here, not a bot here. But yeah, that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to Julian Rob Bates from Wrestling Court Podcast and UntitledMinds.com. Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show. Chris from We Talk Next, which is featured on the Keita and Jay Show. Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast. Devin Hafiz from the Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. Also special shout outs to Straight Talk Wrestling, Circle of Debate, Top Rope Wrestling Talk as well. Coming up next week is going to be some more reviews for AEW Dynamite, Rampage, and for Raw as well, Raw and SmackDown that's happening this week. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at JDC137. That's JAYDEE, the letter C137. You can also find the podcast on Twitter at WrestleBread as well. Click the links in the description to get the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, and the YouTube channel as well. Also, be sure to go on the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, like, and comment. Let me know how you feel with all the name changes that's happening in WWE. Do you feel okay with the name changes? And also, are you a bot? And if you are you anti-AEW as well? But let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, guys, peace.